Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2 in this series of our Glock 17 Gen 5 build for home defense. In part 1, we discussed in detail the stippling work that we had done, which was the first thing that was done to our pistol. We talked about the extended mag release from Tyrant CNC. We talked about the extended slide lock and the extended slide stop. If you haven't seen that already, we'll put a link up here so you can catch that video. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that subscribe and like button, hit the notification bell. You'll find out as soon as we put out new content. Now in part 2, we're going to talk about the Zev Magwell that we installed. We're going to talk about the Tyrant CNC +5 mag extension, and we're going to talk about the trigger. In part 1, we discussed how there's some very smart people in the aftermarket community that are making components for Glocks and to make Glocks better. I truly believe that the people at Arsenal Democracy fit this description. Now, Arsenal Democracy makes a SWiTCH trigger, which we installed in our Glock and our Glock for home defense. And the SWiTCH trigger, by the way, SWiTCH stands for Simplified Weapons Integrated Trigger for combat/hard use. Now, I'll probably never say those words in that sequence ever again, so we'll stick with SWiTCH. And by the way, the SWiTCH trigger is not the only thing Arsenal Democracy manufactures. They also do full builds, Glocks and ARs. They do other components. This is just one aspect, one product that they have designed and manufactured. But I really do think that it represents, it's a good representation of who they are. Now, and right off their website, by the way, it says that this trigger is over-engineered. I will tell you that this is one of the most over-engineered components probably ever to go into a Glock. It is designed to be stronger and safer than a stock Glock trigger. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the features of this because there's just a lot. I could spend 20 minutes on this alone. And by the way, if you really want that, go ahead and let me know in the description, in the comments below, that you want a video getting into all of the intricacies and all the engineering of this, and I'll happily put that together for you if we get enough requests. Right now, I'm going to focus on 3 benefits that you receive by installing this trigger into your Glock. Now, the first thing, let me show you what you get when you purchase the SWiTCH trigger. Now, if you didn't notice it in the picture, and I'll put either on this side or that side a close-up of the trigger shoe. But if you notice on the trigger shoe where you're supposed to have a pin, so right at the top where the trigger shoe pivots, instead of a pin, you have an oil-impregnated bushing. Now, this is basically a self-lubricated bushing that they went ahead and installed there instead of a pin to guarantee that the trigger is going to function under extreme weather and basically under any extreme condition. I mean, this little component alone should show you how much work went and how much research went into putting this trigger system together. Besides for the fact that this is more highly polished than the chrome on an old Chevrolet than a properly polished chrome on an old Chevrolet, not an old rusty one. But this is highly polished. This little ledge over here has been tapered down. I mean, there's so many different aspects to this. Now, how does this all make it a better trigger for you? Well, 3 things it comes down to. Number 1, that oil-impregnated bushing lets you know you're going to have longevity also to your trigger. This is a trigger that's designed to last. This is a trigger that's designed to last from my generation to the next generation, not just to fall apart after 10 or 20,000 rounds of use. So that's the first thing. Now, this trigger is fairly new. At least I would consider it to be fairly new. I put about 1,200 rounds to it, maybe 1,400 rounds at most. So I still consider that to be fairly new. Let's see how it performs over time, and if I do have any issues, I'll report back to you what those might be. I'm going to show you a clip that shows the pull weight test and compare it to a stock Glock 19 that I have. I'm also going to show you the difference in the pull from a stock Glock 19. Before we get into the pull or the pull weight, let's talk about the face of the trigger. This to me is the second benefit to the SWiTCH trigger. The stock Glock trigger is curved with the highest point being in the center and these ridge lines going down the sides of the trigger, which can tire your finger in a long day of shooting. The Arsenal Democracy SWiTCH trigger is a concave design where the highest points are on the outside. Personally, I feel that offers better support to the trigger finger. It offers better tact when you're placing your finger on the face of the trigger shoe. Let's get into the pull test. A stock Glock 19, I haven't done any modifications to this Glock or this trigger, and this is going to come in at a 6-pound pull weight. Let's try it one more time just to be certain, and to make certain that we have consistency as well. And there it is at 6 pounds. Now the Arsenal Democracy SWiTCH trigger, let's go ahead. Now I tend to, that's 4.5 pounds. I was gonna say I tend to pull on the lower half of the trigger shoe, so that's why I'm measuring it down there. And this one's right about 4.9, just under 5 pounds. This one's coming in at 4.8 pounds. Let's try one or two more. This one's right about 4.8, 4.9 pounds. We'll do one more. You can see they're coming in consistently between 4.5 and 5 pounds on the trigger pull. Let's see where this last one comes in, right about 4.6 pounds. All well below the stock 6-pound trigger pull. Now, the SWiTCH trigger uses stock Glock springs, so you're not going to have a 3-pound or a sub 3-pound competition type trigger pull. Let's look at the trigger pull itself. A stock Glock trigger pull, you have a take up. You see where I'm just bringing it up, I'm not applying a lot of pressure, I'm hitting a wall, and then I take the shot. Let me show you this again. You have the take up, right from here to a wall, take up to the wall, take up to the wall, there's the shot. There's a full shot. Now I release, there's my reset right there, and there I can take another shot. Once again, the reset, and there I can take another shot. And the stock Glock doesn't have a terrible reset. Once again, full trigger pull, hit the wall, there's take up to the wall, take up to the wall, increase pressure to take the shot. Here's where the Arsenal Democracy SWiTCH trigger differs. To me, the most important benefit, the third benefit, is this trigger does not have a wall. This trigger is, if you shoot a lot of ARs, this is what you may consider close to a single stage trigger. It is one consistent pull weight all the way back to the shot. Let me show you one more time. There's no take up, there's no wall, there's no, there you go, straight to the shot. Reset is going to be a little bit shorter due to the ghost edge connector that comes on the SWiTCH trigger. I passed it there. Let's do that one more time. There's the reset, and there's the next shot. Biggest benefit of the SWiTCH trigger being one consistent trigger pull with no wall. I prefer this SWiTCH trigger with no wall for my home defense Glock. Let's be clear, some people do want a wall on their Glock trigger.
Some people feel that that is much safer for an everyday carry. Keep in mind, this is not an everyday carry pistol, okay? Let me just present the slide on top of this for a moment to show you. This is not something I am ever going to put into a holster, okay? Or that my gut will allow me to put into a holster. So if I ever am traveling with this, it's in a case somewhere, it's not going to be in a holster. This is a home defense pistol, this is not an everyday carry pistol. I wanna be very clear about that. There's a lot of talk out there on the internet and on YouTube about how this is not a safe trigger for everyday carry. And if you're considering it for everyday carry, this might not be the right choice for you, but for home defense, I think it is a spectacular choice. Now, we have no affiliation with Arsenal Democracy. I just really think that this is a wonderful trigger, and which is why we chose it to install it in our home defense Glock 17. One really major drawback to the SWiTCH trigger: you can't get one. No, you can't get one. It doesn't matter if you pay them double, you can't get one. They're $190 on their website, but there's a waiting list, and it's 3, 4, 5 months long, however long it is. You'll get an email, they'll let you know to go on the website and purchase it at that moment with a special code they give you. You can't transfer that code to anybody else or link or whatever it is. That's strictly just for you. And that's the only way that you can get the SWiTCH trigger right now. So if you have the patience and you have the ability to wait several months to get a new trigger in for your Glock 17, I definitely think that this can be a wonderful option for you. Now, let's work our way down the frame to the ZEV Magwell and the Tyrant CNC +5 mag extension. Now, at first I said paired, and I want to be very clear. There's a reason why I said paired, because your Magwell and your mag extension have to work well together. If they don't, either A, you're not going to be able to fit it all the way through, and you're not going to be able to lock in your magazine, or B, you might actually have issues taking out your magazine later on if it just locks in place there or gets jammed in there somehow. So I went ahead and I already had the ZEV Magwell, and by the way, this is specifically, if I didn't say it already, the ZEV Tech Pro one-piece Magwell for the Gen 5. God, these names are long. And I already had the Magwell, so I called up Tyrant CNC and I asked them, look, will your +5 mag extension work with this Magwell? They confirmed that it would, and then I went ahead and purchased it. If you have questions about whether you might have a different Magwell and this mag extension can work for your Magwell, feel free to call them. They're wonderful people. They were really nice to me on the phone and were able to quickly address my question. Now, let's go into the Magwell for a second. This is the second easiest thing in the world to install on a pistol. And before I get into that, let's talk about why I chose this Magwell. I like the design. Yeah, personally, I think it looks pretty cool. But at the end of the day, it really just fits my hand well, and it provides a ledge down here. That's the biggest thing it does. It provides a ledge down here where I now have basically a cradle for my hand. I have an area up here where I have an undercut, where Brazen Stippling did a high undercut for me, and then my hand fits in there perfectly. At the bottom, I now have this Magwell, which supports my hand at the bottom. It's a little bit extra something also to just keep my hand from slipping off, but more than anything, it just lets my hand know that you're in the right place. You're ready to then take your shot. I mentioned the installation is the second easiest thing in the world to install, because if you look there is one screw. That's it. All you have to do is, there's nothing to take off because there's nothing here stock. You slip this one piece in. It includes the plug. You put this one piece in, you put a little bit of blue Loctite on your screw, and they provide you with a hex, and you just do this with your finger until it stops, and that's basically it. It's in place. It's not going anywhere. Give it about 24 hours for that blue Loctite to really seal in there properly, but that's it. This is not going anywhere. You don't need to be a gunsmith. You don't have to be a Glocksmith to be able to install a Magwell on your pistol. If anybody really needs it, I'll do a little video showing you how you do this. Okay, but really it's just doing this. That's all it is. The Magwell is $100 to $110 online. We do not have an affiliation with ZEV. This is just really like this Magwell and do recommend it. And I think it adds the necessary support at the bottom of the frame. Now, regarding the mag extension, I said the Magwell was the second easiest thing in the world to install. This is the easiest thing in the world to install right here, because this +5 mag extension from Tyrant CNC, and by the way, this mag extension works on the Glock 17, on the 19X, on the Glock 45. It also works on the Glock 22, the 34, and the 35. It's a +5 mag extension on 9mm. It's a +4 mag extension on a 40 cal. They also make these for the Glock 19 and the Glock 23. The only difference is that the spring length is a little bit shorter because it's a shorter mag. And then I believe they also make it for the 43X and the 48, if I'm not mistaken, for the single stacks. Installation on this thing, as I said a moment ago, is the easiest thing in the world. All you have to do is take the plate off of the stock Glock magazine, and how you do that is there's a little part where you just push down on, and there's kind of like a plate under a plate. You just basically take the top plate, slide it off, keep your hand on top so your spring doesn't go flying. You take your orange feeder, in my case it's orange, you take it off of the stock spring and you put it onto the spring that Tyrant sends you. Why do they send you a new spring? Because it's a bigger magazine with the mag extension, so you need a bigger spring. You go ahead and put the feeder on it, insert it all the way through, and then this is your mag extension. There's
a little ledge on each side of your mag. All you do is slide it in. That's it, okay? How do you know when you're done? Because there's this little thing, I can't see if it'll come out on the video, if not I'll do a close-up of it. That little thing right there, okay, will pop up once the magazine is all the way through. That's how you know you're done, okay? It's basically as simple as that. All you have to do is slide it in, wait for the pop, you're done. You have a +5 mag extension on your Glock mag. For the 17, that means that it's not a 17+1 anymore, it's a 22+1. And that means that I have 23 rounds in my Glock 17 home defense pistol. Now, if you like this mag extension and you want to get it for yourself, we'll have a link below. We do have an affiliation with Tyrant, and it does benefit our channel if you use our link. Also, I'll tell you that it perfectly color matches with the extended mag release, and they comes in blue, red, and a whole myriad of other colors, silver, black, the gold. They also have a package where if you get the mag extension, the extended mag release, and the back plate, I think it's like 10% off if you get that little package. But one of the really good ones that they have also on the website is if you get the magazine with the mag extension on it already, so you get the whole thing from them. Normally a mag is 25 bucks. The mag extension is 40, by the way. It's $39.95, I think, so call it 40 bucks. That means I ended up paying $65 for this, and they have it for 60 bucks on their website. So that's also another way that you could save some money. But at the end of the day, it provides me with a 22+1 home defense Glock pistol. As soon as we post this video, we're gonna start working on part 3, where we're gonna talk about the slide. No? No? Okay, all right, we're gonna talk about the slide. This slide right here, this badass slide. And we're gonna get into everything. We're gonna get into everything that went into putting that slide together. Now, some of you may have noticed throughout this video that I'm wearing a Core Essentials hat, which, by the way, this is actually probably becoming one of my favorite hats right now. Core Essentials was kind enough to send me a belt to review, which we are going to, and we'll have that video out just before we put out part 3. Once again, please subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, be safe, and if you can, adopt a pet. We look forward to seeing you on the next video.
Another show, the rebels can't resist.